raise money to get your views out front?
Well, you know, people have to have money in order to hire other people to work for them as well as the media. But my challenge is to get the Republican nomination. After that, then I'd have the whole party behind me, and I'd have enough money to confront Cranston, who has $8 million.
I have a huge war chest waiting. What makes you think you can get the nomination?
Well, I feel that I'm very well known amongst Republicans in the state of California. There's a field of about 7 individuals vying for the nomination. And I believe that I have grassroots support. Frankly, my problem is with the hierarchy of the Republican Party. I have to convince them by my grassroots support that I'm a viable candidate.
Do you have any support in the black community?
I certainly do. I think that the majority...
The reason I ask that is you assume that most blacks in California support people like the mayor of Los Angeles.
Well, certainly he has support amongst blacks. Yes, that's the whole problem in the black community right now, is that we're in the back pocket of the Democratic Party. And the majority of black people do not participate in the elections because they haven't seen anything coming from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party.
What do you say to those, and you have heard this question for the last 10 years, who look at you now in a 3-piece suit and a nice tie and glasses over there and a little bit of gray in the hair, and they say, Eldridge Cleaver, born-again Christian, Republican, Reagan supporter, what happened? Where was the road to Damascus that had you converted?
Well, the entire situation in the United States has changed tremendously. We were on the outside banging on the door of America to get in the 60s, and consequently our attitude was quite uproarious. But once the doors were open and we are inside, it calls for a change in your attitude. But spiritually, I underwent a change as well as ideologically. Becoming a father twice over, I think it had the impact of making me take a larger view of life, and to realize that the materialist interpretation of life was not sufficient. And so I had a spiritual change in my life.
When did it take place?
1975 is a date that I can pin, but...
Within that year?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, but that's what...
And your wife, Kathleen, is now...
My wife is a law student at Yale University. She has a couple more quarters to go, and she's going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, but you live in California.
I live in California.
And she lives in New Haven.
She lives in New Haven.
Not easy on a marriage.
Well, it's difficult because we commute. I do most of the commuting, but I travel a lot on speaking engagements, and so I have a chance to pass through there quite frequently.
Yeah. What's happened to America since the 60s that you think was so... caused it to come to where it is now?
Well, I think we had a tremendous upheaval over the position of black people in the American social order, as well as over our foreign policy, particularly the war in Vietnam. I think this has made people look closer at the government's policies, and the severe challenge that the government was put to in the 60s, I think the government responded quite well. We passed the Voting Rights Act that enfranchised blacks. We did get out of Vietnam. I think that another generation is growing up in America, that generation that opposed the war.
But I would suspect that you support most of Reagan's civil rights policy, since you're a strong supporter of Reagan, do you?
I do. Particularly his thrust of getting black people off of the federal budget. I think this is the most destructive...
Federal welfare?
Yes. And I want to participate in orienting black people towards the private sector. That's really the heart of my campaign. We have a problem of the kind of leadership in the black community, like Louis Farrakhan and Jesse Jackson, leading black people down a dead end. One of the things that is attractive to the Republican Party is that if I'm elected, I will be the most powerful black politician in America, and I'll be a Republican. And I think that this will offer me a position to challenge the direction that black people are now being led in.
But the Reverend Jackson and also the Reverend Farrakhan would both say that Ronald Reagan, your political friend, is no friend of black people.
That's what they've been saying since 1980, particularly. and they've said it over and over again to the extent they frighten black people about Ronald Reagan. But I do believe that Reagan is the first president in American history who has accepted black people as political equals. And I say that because all the other presidents treated us as a special problem, the Negro problem. But Reagan is putting us on the same level with the other voters, and consequently we've got to do for ourselves. You know, I've been saying since 1980 particularly, and they've said it over and over again to the extent they frighten black people about Ronald Reagan. But I do believe that Reagan is the first president in American history who has accepted black people as political equals. And I say that because all the other presidents treated us as a special problem, the Negro problem. But Reagan is putting us on the same level with the other voters, and consequently we've got to do for ourselves.
You don't believe in forced busing, you don't believe in affirmative action programs, you don't believe that the government has a special role to develop programs that are creative in terms of helping black Americans overcome the years and years of segregation.
Well, it's a question of what kind of program. They have developed special programs that have made us more dependent upon the federal government. Those are not the kind of programs that I'm interested in. I'm interested in programs that orient us towards the private sector and that help us gain capital and ownership. Right now, we're just chasing jobs, and this is not the only solution to this problem.
Back in a moment. Did you have one great book in you? Soul on Ice was filled with the passion and the rage of a black man against a society that he felt had made him, had restrained him and oppressed him.
Well, I had a great opportunity. That book was written in prison, and there's nothing like that kind of seclusion for contemplation, and I don't hope to repeat that. And also, we had a situation in America that I was addressing, which is no longer with us. However, I think it's the quality of your writing, the style, and the ideas that you deal with, which has the impact. And I'm doing that now. I haven't had a chance to do much except polemics over the years and fighting cases in court.
Have you seen the movie The Color Purple?
I have not, and I'm trying to get up enough courage to go see it, but I have a strong dislike for Alice Walker's writings.
Because?
Because of the unwholesome denigration of the black male.
That's the reason I asked the question, because
I think there have been a lot of writing. Black Macho is another book that, for some reason, they try to emasculate the black male and sort of hold him up for laughter, and I strongly reject that.
Why does Alice Walker, you think she's wrong in what she writes?
I think that she's wrong in her perceptions. And therefore,
The Color Purple is the story of one person, a central character.
Yeah, but the black male role was a real caricature and a jerk of a black man, which the majority of black men can identify with. And I think it caters to a certain opinion. Male bashing is popular in some quarters these days, but I think it's repugnant. That's my opinion.
What does that do to the relationship within the black family?
I think it accelerates the decomposition that we all know is taking place, and it sort of glories in it. The economic system sort of manipulates the black female over the black male, and a lot of forces are trying to cut the black male down, and then it is enshrined in literature and in theater.
Yeah, but what do you say to, and this is whether it's a white or a black or whatever ethnicity, but you, because of your own experiences, what do you say to young men who are fathering children and not taking the responsibility and then casting the responsibility and leaving the single woman to mother that child and provide the family?
Well, obviously, it's unacceptable, and I think that we need laws that will severely reprimand the male who deserts his family and does not support the family. As it is right now, it's sort of encouraged because the fellow leaves, the wife gets on, or the woman gets on welfare and supports the kids. I think that we have to have a stronger penalty that pursues the male and brings it to account, because not taking care of your children is an abomination.
Do you hold the women responsible at all for?
I certainly hold them responsible for allowing themselves to be put in that position, but I think that the male has a responsibility too.
When you look at the race in California, is what you're for the legalization of marijuana?
Well, I'm against the present drug laws. I think that we've reached a point where we must do something about this. And I'm alarmed at this program of mandatory and random drug testing, because I think it completely violates the Constitution. It hasn't been debated by Congress. It hasn't been authorized action. And it's just these administrative agencies. Because if you look at it, it will result in the American people being classified in a computer by their body fluids. And this is not something that the American people have expressed a desire to have.
Do you think we should legalize drugs in America?
I think we should decriminalize them and take the enormous profit out of the illicit trade. The Drug Enforcement Agency has confessed that they can't stop it at the source or in transit, and consequently they're going after the consumers. I think this is totally incorrect. If the American people en masse want to smoke marijuana or snort cocaine, I think they have a right to do it. It should be on the same moral level as alcohol.
Or cigarettes?
Yes. You have a lot of politicians who are alcoholics legislating against psychedelic substances. And I think that we need to shift our influence and money to developing a discipline in the use of these drugs, as opposed to just crushing people. I believe that the government is using drugs for other purposes.
Eldridge Cleaver, candidate for the Republican nomination for the United States Senate.
Right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Night Watch continues. Stay with us.